All right, so in this replay, our opponent is going to pass on turn one without even setting anything. So we're going to be expecting anywhere from 2 to 4 hand traps. So that means we're going to have to play conservatively with our Call by the Grave. So this Ash Blossom doesn't actually stop me from playing. I still have Connector here. That's what I'm going to be playing around. So we're just going to let this go through. Then we normal the connector. This doesn't get Ash because he already used it. I'm going to pitch Turpin because we want to have it in the grave anyways because it can come back from there. And now he's going to chain Gamma to the Dolphin. Kind of interesting. I can't rip the Gamma. Maybe should have just held it for Isolde. But maybe I would have just adjusted the line or something. Probably with like the gear feed. So we're going to bring back the Aqua Dolphin because I want to see his hand. And they're going to Ogre me here because I was going to rip it otherwise. Yeah, so now we pitch the gear feed because I know that I can get to Isolde off of Living Fossil here. So we're going to call by this. Otherwise, I can't get to Isolde. We see the hand, take a bit of damage. It's just two useless bunguses, some ice barrier, fish stuff. And now we have Isolde. They have no disruption. And we're going to combo off, and they're going to surrender here. Alrighty, in this replay, we're going to be going first against Snake Eyes Fire King. Now, of course, if we just full combo without getting disrupted, it's kind of boring to watch. So something horrible is going to happen to us, of course. We're going to be equipping the Turpin here to get that free send, and then we get nibbed on our Angelica. So we still get to search for the Noble Arms Museum. We're going to go have a look at his hand with talents. So he has 2 copies of Diabell Star essentially, so there's no point in ripping either one of these. Volcanics is his other starter, and ripping the Volcanics also turns off the Skyburn. So we definitely want to shuffle back the Volcanics here. Now we're going to go ahead and search a Durendal. While this is equipped, you can special out the Turpin, grab a Renaud, just add any dude back, honestly. And now we're going to go ahead and make Roland. Now this is important because we didn't go for Isolde. We don't have the Angelic Ring in Graveyard. So when you Synchro Summon him, remember it has to be Synchro Summon, not Special Summon off the Angelica. During the end phase, we get to actually dump the Angelica's ring to the graveyard here. Now we're just going to summon out the Ogre here, go for Charles. Now I know he doesn't have Imperm, but it's technically cleaner to link into the Emperor Charles the Great first, and now we pop the nib because then we have a spell trap negate there as well. I'm going to get a free draw here off our OSS. Now we send the Angelica's ring so we can equip it here. And opponent's going to draw for a turn. Now, we're going to negate this, of course, because we want to save the ring in case he drew into a board breaker or something. And I think this is a misplay. So we're going to see, I think on his next play, he's going to Diabell Star to pitch an Imperm. So the correct play here would have been you Imperm the Charles, that forces out the negate. Then you can use the Wanted to eat the Angelica's ring. And now all I have is a pop. And I mean, I guess like the unknown, right? But he can't play around everything. So it'd only have the pop. And then he could summon out the Diabell Star to pitch the dead Fire, Burn, Skyburn, whatever it's called. And then you can try to like OSS from there. So I should here pop the Diabell Star so we can't use OSS. In my head, I'm thinking, oh, I have the ring. I know the last card in hand is dead. What's going to happen, right? He's going to get the OSS into graveyard and draw a free card. So if I had popped the Diabell Star, he wouldn't have been able to activate the OSS, and he wouldn't have gotten this draw. Now, it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to pop the Unicorn, right? But it could have been something relevant. Like an evenly matched would have really hurt me. Actually, it wouldn't because he can't play after it. It doesn't matter. This game is free. Okay, it's a Duelist Cup game. It's a bit older. So here in this hand, I have one fear, and that is Maxx. Actually, I have multiple fears, right? But Maxx is the prevalent one. So I'm thinking, okay, we've opened Museum and a way to Isolde already. So to play around Maxx, we're going to use all of our searches as soon as possible. And then when he uses Maxx, we can just Droll ourselves and then just play under it, right? So he essentially just trades Maxx for any card in his hand. Just like it's this Upstart Goblin at that point. And then I can just combo under Droll. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And turns out he doesn't have the Maxx. Instead, he has a Droll. So on the one hand, I'm sad because normal connector just completely solos this because I get to rip the Droll before he can use it. But I think it's still safer to play around Maxx whenever you can in a format that has it. In TCG, you normal connector, you win the game for free, right? So we're gonna have a look at his hand here, and it's also Snake Eyes. So they have the Field Spell, Diabell Star, Poplar, and Jet Synchron here. So we're gonna go ahead and rip the Diabell Star. So we know it's Poplar, Jet, and the Field Spell, none of which really pose much of a threat, to be honest. Especially since we can just Dolphin and pop the Poplar as well now. So he's gonna put this back. I'm thinking, oh yeah, I'll just out this later, right? I'll just use my pop. It doesn't matter. He doesn't get the free material. I don't want the Jet Synchron engraved because it's just a free revive. But I think here I go for a Promethean line. Yeah, so I need to pop the Promethean to get it into grave. So we're not popping the Poplar, but it doesn't really matter. Yeah, I have Droll. I get the full board, right? Which is we get 2 spell trap negates. We get a spell negate. We get 2 pops off Charles and Princess. We have Droll. We have follow up. We've essentially hand ripped them for 3, right? Because we don't care about the Droll, and then we had 2 hand rips. And we get to extend this far because we hard opened the museum. Because Angelica can't search for it under Droll, of course. That's like the downside. But since we've opened it, it's just super fun. You can look at how crazy this board is here. So, like, I think we have 6 disruptions into 3 cards, right? So 1 spell trap negate, 2 spell trap negate, 1 spell negate. Then we have a pop off of the Roland equipping itself here. We have a pop off of the Princess coming back. We have the Droll. Angelica gets us some follow-up. The Shuffles gives us a draw. It's the Link Eyes give us a follow-up as well. It's kind of Jover. So we're going to go ahead and negate the activation of the field spell, because if we negate the effect, it just stays on the field and Angelica's ring is completely wasted. Shuffle back our banished dudes, get some equip spells back in rotation, and he's going to pitch the Flamberge. So funnily enough, it's kind of good that we kept the Poplar on field, or he could have revived both of these guys, but that's not something I was really considering, to be honest. Here we can use the Princess to target his dude and the Angelica, and then chain the Angelica to pop only his dude, and Angelica is going to just dump a guy for us here. Very nifty. It's important that you pop a dude here before he goes into SP, because that is going to be really obnoxious in this game state and do a lot of work. Not like it stops us from winning, but I don't think there's a reason to not play around it like that. We're going to special Renaud here, get the gear freed out, and this is going to banish the gear blade so we get it back to equip it for double damage, because 15k isn't enough, you know? And then we just swing for game here. All right, another beautiful game going second. We do have Maxx, which is kind of cheating, to be honest. And we're going to go ahead and just chain it to the card destruction, so we can still get value off of it. It will be kind of dumb to just not use it, right? We're going to go ahead and look at this. And 2 copies of Super Poly, what the heck? They send a cash name, and they have a Shuffler, which is really, really bad for our deck already. And we've already lost our Joyous and our Renaud, and we have one of our Durandals in the graveyard. Our hand is like okay-ish. He mills the 3rd Super Poly, which is hilarious. But he also opened some cash stuff. He lost his target for it, though. He's going to play a little bit under this. And we draw Ash just in time. So, yeah, it looks like a complete stomp so far. We find the Fire Flint Lady, which is crazy. And they're going to Maxx us. So now it starts getting a bit more interesting. They have the Shuffler in graveyard here, the Keldo. And now I think they're going to mill like 2 more. And they're going to get Mudora as well. So they have 2 Shufflers. Now this really hurts. The banishing this guy, for some reason I wasn't going to use it, but fortunately they did with some mills. So it's going to go for Isolde, see if we can get the gear blade to hand, and we just kill him for absolutely free. I'm going to trigger it here. And what this does is he's pretty much forced to spin the Gear Blade because we kind of just win otherwise, because it puts up so much damage. So he has to shuffle this now. And that means that our Ogre send is going to be safe, because he sends it after this, right? So we're going to go ahead and get Turpin into the graveyard. And now I'm going to have to try to find a line to play around the other shuffler and potentially other hand traps ASAP as well. So we're just going to go straight for our Apo here using these guys, because we can still play. We've used our normal summon up, but we still have the museum here. I'm going to grab the Almace, and we're just going to pitch one of our connectors that we have left over to get out the Black Witch for the OSS. We have a negate for like Ash or something, but I feel safe playing through the Maxx against Tier because they can't run that many hand traps because they'll whiff all their mills, and they've already whiffed quite a few mills here. So I'm assuming they've got to have just mainly engine left over, right? I'm gonna go ahead and grab back the Renaud here. OSS away the Black Witch for the Ricardetto, which is going to Warrior Lock us, but that's going to get us into Angelica. And of course, they have to negate this because we just win for free otherwise. Now we use Apo. This is the only moment I'm worried about in case they have like a random Ogre or Nib, Veiler, anything. And from this point on, I feel completely safe to just go for lethal here. And he has Ash. I don't need this effect to resolve. I'm more worried about other hand traps that he could potentially have. I think it's very, very unlikely for him to have them, but I think it's still definitely valuable to respect it. I shouldn't be playing into something that could potentially make me lose if I win with this line anyways. I'll go ahead and grab the Charles here. I'm gonna pop the Fenrir because it's annoying me and it's in defense. Other guys will all have like an effect when they're sent to the graveyard. That could potentially give him more plays, so we definitely don't want that. And we're going to go ahead and Renaud for the Gearfried, summon this out. And so I was doing the math in my head and everything. If I use Charles Renaud to make Baron, I would lose, I think, like 500 or 1500 damage, something like that, and it wouldn't have been enough. So instead, we're going to go here for the Gearfried, suck up the kit, beat over this guy by battle. We can beat over this by battle as well. Now we're going to swing here, and I think we kill him even if we did synchro this up. I don't know. Maybe I was low on time or something. Yeah, I wasn't fire locked. I don't know why, but it was also definitely a play to make the Baron here. Here we have another beautiful game. Our hand is absolutely ridiculous. We have full combo, plus a hand rip, plus 2 extenders. I don't really see much he can do. He's forced to Ash this. So we're going to go ahead and have a look at his hand here. And it's Voiceless Voice. We're definitely going to rip the Imperm, because otherwise he's going to use it on his ult and I will be sad. Then we are going to remember that he has a Barrier, a Prosby, and a Lightning Storm. All right, so goodbye to the Imperm. Just going to go ahead, use Rhoda for Flint. Just do the normal line here. We're going to run through Dempsey with this. Grab the red layer just as like a discard or something for, what is it, Magus? Not Magus, Oliver. Oliver is the one that discards it. All right, and we're going to keep the Heritage here to go ahead and grab a second field spell. We're going to get another museum off of this. All right, normal line here. Angelica is going to go ahead and grab that first Noble Arms Museum. Use this, go ahead and send a Gearfried, which we can end on. And we're going to remember that they have 3 spells in hand. And we have the option to make a Baron. So I'm going to opt for a slightly different line here, where instead of making the second Link Charles, we're going to, wait, no. Instead of making Baron with the Charles here, which we could, right? we're instead going to make the second Link Charles and just sack the Gearfried because there are no monsters in hand currently, which we know. So we're going to use Baron for this. So Baron, if he draws into a monster, we can still negate a monster. But if he doesn't, then it will be another spell trap or something. And then we just prefer to have more spell trap negates here. So that's the reason we changed this line off a bit. Otherwise, I probably would have gone for one monster negate, one spell trap negate, and one omni negate. But this way, we're going 2 spell trap negates and the omni. I remember it's lightning storm, pot, the barrier, and one unknown here. So he's gonna leave with prosperity. And now it's very important here that you don't use Ash on the pot. You think, well, why? We get to negate it for free, right? Well, we don't want the Angelica's angelic ring to trigger here, and each turn negate the effect of your opponent's first spell card effect that resolves. So it's a ruling thing where Ash negates the effect. So this will still resolve just without effect. So since it still resolves, the ring is going to trigger on it. If we negate the activation, it's not going to resolve in the first place. So we're going to have to use the Charles here to negate it. And I'm using the Charles that doesn't have all this stuff equipped to it, in case he, for some reason, like draws into Kurikara or something wild, right? I don't want to lose the ring and stuff that's equipped. Yeah, we draw Maxx. So, I mean, it's game over anyways because everything resolved. We're going to, again, because it's a continuous spell, you have to negate the activation of it and destroy it to get it off the field so the ring doesn't trigger. And it turns out he drew into another continuous spell. This was his top deck. So, of course, we're going to have to just omni-negate this. Good thing this wasn't a Gearfried, by the way. And we have the ring for his Lightning Storm, and we just win the game for free here.